Welcome back, MTG Burgeoning community and YouTube viewing audience. If you're part of the latter and want to join the former, click the subscribe button now. By doing so, you become eligible for any of this channel's awesome subscriber rewards, all of which you can read about in the description below. In today's Top 10s Day Wednesday video, we're taking a look at MTG Burgeoning's top 10 new cards from Commander Legends. Hello, Burgeonites, welcome back. The focus of this top 10 list is on new cards with interesting mechanics, new general commander options, in addition to new cards that will see play in a variety of different decks. This is not the top 10 most powerful cards list. Now let's begin with number 10. Number 10 is Necrotic Hex. Necrotic Hex makes each player sacrifice 6 creatures, and afterwards, we create 6 tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. The mechanics of this card are interesting because even if we sacrifice 6 creatures, we get 6 on the back end of the spell in the form of zombie creature tokens. It is safe to consider the loss of 6 creatures by each player as a massive board wipe. Usually the player casting the board wipe is at a disadvantage because each subsequent player in turn order will be able to rebuild their board before the player who cast the board wipe can. That's not the case with Necrotic Hex, as 6 2/2 black zombie creature tokens provide eventual attackers, blockers, or sacrifice fodder. In a specific zombie and or token build, Necrotic Hex can be used to whittle away our opponent's battlefields while leaving ours intact due to the presence of numerous other zombies and or other creature tokens. Also noteworthy is that Necrotic Hex removes creatures with Indestructible, Hexproof, Shroud, and Protection. I plan to include a copy of Necrotic Hex in my Saskia the Unyielding token deck. Watch out for the small subset of cards that don't allow us to force our opponents to sacrifice permanents, like Sigarda, Host of Herons, Tejuru, Preserver, and Tamiyo, Collector of Tales. They can be a real onion in the ointment. Number 9 on our list is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. The first partner on the list, we may have Sakashima enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature we control, except it has Sakashima's other abilities. Sakashima provides us a personalized version of Mirror Gallery, as the legend rule does not apply to permanents we control. My initial thoughts about crafting a deck with Sakashima would be to select another powerful partner for Sakashima to copy when it enters the battlefield, thereby doubling some powerful abilities. I would prioritize a partner with a converted mana cost less than Sakashima's. That way, the first partner could come into play, and then Sakashima could be cast on the following turn, or perhaps on the same turn if the mana is flowing. Some partners that come to mind include Krark the Thumbless, in a coin-flipping spell-slinging deck, Ludovic Necro Alchemist in a let's have our opponents attack each other as much as possible deck, Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator in a pirate tribal deck, Toggo Goblin Weaponsmith in a pinger deck, and lastly, Vile Smasher the Fierce in a spell-slinger deck. Number 8 on this list is Akroma, Vision of Ixidor. Akroma is the second consecutive partner on this list. Similar to Akroma's previous 2 iterations, Akroma, Angel of Wrath, and Akroma, Angel of Fury, this version of Akroma attaches several keyword mechanics onto a 6/6 angelic body. Akroma, Vision of Ixidor has flying, first strike, vigilance, and trample. Continuing the trend of keyword significance, at the beginning of each combat until end of turn, each other creature we control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on and so forth for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. Akroma is going to reward us for playing creatures with as many keyword mechanics as possible. Because of this, I want to include a copy of this Akroma in my Kali of the Vast Commander deck, which has numerous creatures with keyword abilities like Flying, Trample, First Strike, Indestructible, Haste, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. In the future, I want to build a Cathrol Aspect Warper deck with Akroma in the 99, or maybe Akroma as a commander in a token build featuring Akroma's Memorial. Each creature we control has Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, Protection from Black, Protection from Red, and +7/+7. The additional power and toughness boosts for creatures sporting various keyword abilities is game-ending. I really want to force a partnership between Akroma and Sakashima. Imagine having 2 copies of Akroma Ixidor's Vision under our control. Number 7 on our list is Jeweled Lotus. Now, before the MTG Burgeoning community and YouTube viewing audience begin igniting torches and sharpening pitchforks in recognition of Jeweled Lotus's number 7 rank on this top 10 list, let me explain. I do not intend to put a copy of this card into any of my current EDH Commander decks. I don't think it's useful enough. Jeweled Lotus can be powerful, but it must be in the right build. I think it is a mistake to think about Jeweled Lotus on the same wavelength as Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, or Mana Crypt. This is not Sol Ring. This is not Arcane Signet. This is not Mana Crypt. Each of these 3 artifacts can be added to the majority of decks without much hesitation. That is not the case with Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus provides situational advantage under the right circumstances in the right type of deck. The aforementioned mana rocks provide consistent and reusable advantages throughout the entirety of a game. Jeweled Lotus has its benefits, but elevating it to the upper echelon of mana rocks is a mistake. Further debating the playability of Jeweled Lotus may be a topic of conversation for another time. Number 6 on our list is Mnemonic Deluge. The second sorcery on the list, Mnemonic Deluge, allows us to exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, copy it 3 times, and then cast the copies without paying their mana costs. And we must exile Mnemonic Deluge. Mnemonic Deluge is not cheap, as its 6 and triple blue converted mana cost indicates. This is a mana-intensive sorcery that could leave us vulnerable on the back end due to the resource commitment and potential for counter magic. However, the potential benefits are worth the risks. Let's say we're playing mono blue and plan to target an instant or sorcery from our graveyard, like Fact or Fiction. If 1 Fact or Fiction is great, then what about 3? What about Frantic Search? Hopefully we have less desirable cards in our hand, because if we end up drawing 6 cards and then discarding 6 cards, we do untap 9 lands, which, by the way, is Mnemonic Deluge's converted mana cost. What about Treasure Cruise? We draw 9 cards. What about Dig Through Time? We look at the top 7 cards of our library and put 2 of them into our hand. 3 times. What about Mystic Confluence? We draw 9 cards, or maybe some combination of card draw and creature bouncing. There are a lot of options, and these examples are only from our own graveyard. Next up on our list is number 5, Wheel of Misfortune. So many times I considered it. I thought about it. I pondered it. I obsessed over it. I never pulled the trigger. I didn't do it then, and I certainly won't do it now. I'm talking about Wheel of Fortune, a card that was affordably priced at around $25 to $30 for many, many moons. For the longest time I thought, should I get a copy? It's a bit pricey. Should I? Shouldn't I? I never did. Now I never will, as Wheel of Fortune is north of Benjamin Franklin territory. That's okay. Welcome number 5 on our list, Wheel of Misfortune. To summarize the massive wall of rules text, Wheel of Misfortune punishes the player who chooses the highest number by dealing that much damage to them and punishes the player who chooses the smallest number by not allowing them to discard their hand and draw 7 cards. The player who chooses the highest number, and each player in between the highest number and the lowest number, will discard their hands and draw 7 cards. I'm glad I never did pull the trigger because I like this version of Wheel of Fortune more. The potential politicking and player interactions when casting this spell is saturated with the spirit of the EDH Commander format. There are so many possible outcomes for this spell. I believe that Wheel of Misfortune will become a storytelling card that often begins with, "Remember the last time you cast Wheel of Misfortune?" Next up is number 4 on our list, and that's going to be Opposition Agent. You control your opponents when searching their libraries. What? Seriously? Opposition Agent is the meanest card from Commander Legends. Proceed with caution, as its presence on the battlefield may result in even greater social distancing from your friends and fellow Magic the Gathering players. For 2 and a black, and with Flash, Opposition Agent comes into play and allows us to take control of our opponent's tutoring and fetching effects. Not only do we select the cards they are searching for, but we exile them, we may cast them, and spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast these exiled cards. Oh, you cast Demonic Tutor? Okay, in response, Opposition Agent. Let's see what's in that library of yours. Oh, so mean! Number 3 on our list is Hull Breacher. What do you get when you cross Smothering Tithe and Notion Thief? Well, that's easy. Hull Breacher. Let me begin by saying this should not be in blue. However, it is, and now we have to think about including it in every blue deck imaginable. Similar to Opposition Agent, Hull Breacher has a converted mana cost of 3 and has Flash. If an opponent would draw a card except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead we create a treasure token. I suppose the only aspect of blue that needed refinement was ramp, so thank you, Commander Legends? Also, thank you for the extra trepidation in casting Sphinx's Revelation, Pull from Tomorrow, or Expansion Explosion. Number 2 on our list is Kodama of the East Tree, the 3rd partner on the list and the last. I think Kodama of the East Tree is the most powerful new partner from Commander Legends. It has the usual green creature stats. It's a 6/6 with reach for 4 and double green. Nothing earth-shattering here. It's the wall of text between reach and partner that makes Kodama of the East Tree so powerful. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under our control, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, we may put a permanent card with equal or lesser converted mana cost from our hand onto the battlefield. Mind blown. My initial thought when I saw this card spoiled during preview season was lands. Play a land for turn, Kodama triggers, put a land into play from our hand. Cast a creature spell, it enters the battlefield, Kodama triggers, put a land into play from our hand. Cast Kodama's Reach or Cultivate, the land enters the battlefield tapped, Kodama triggers, put the other land from our hand into play. This loop can spiral out of control very quickly. Kodama seems immensely powerful in landfall builds. We haven't even discussed creatures, artifacts, enchantments, or planeswalkers yet. An entire video could be made of Kodama of the East Tree's best synergies. So what's the number 1 card in this top 10 list? Well, it is a spot that's shared by 5. It is the Court Cycle. Each of these 5 enchantments has a converted mana cost of 2 generic colorless mana and 2 mana of their respective color. When each enchantment enters the battlefield, the player casting it becomes the Monarch. Monarch is an awesome ability that promotes and rewards interaction and combat. It motivates players to attack each other in order to become the Monarch or prevent an opponent from holding on to the Monarch. This motivation for attacking improves gameplay. Drawing a card at the beginning of the end step feels good too. It feels really good. Each court has a familiar ability respective to its color. Each ability is enhanced if the player is also the Monarch. For Court of Grace, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, or if you're the Monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. For Court of Cunning, any number of players mill 2 cards, or if you're the Monarch, any number of players mill 10 cards. For Court of Ambition, each opponent loses 3 life, unless they discard a card, or if you are the Monarch, each opponent loses 6 life unless they discard 2 cards. For Court of Ire, deal 2 damage to any target, or if you're the Monarch, deal 7 damage to any target. And lastly, for Court of Bounty, put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, or if you're the Monarch, put a creature or land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Whether a player is adding a court to an existing token, mill, or direct damage strategy, or adding a court to enhance their resources, or denying resources to their opponents, the court cycle is great for the format and sits atop this list of new cards from Commander Legends due to its reinforcement of interactive gameplay. That'll do it for this top 10 list. Which cards made your list? Let me know in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. This is MTG Burgeoning. Go forth and enjoy your day.